we chose racing instead, like your case. It's about speed and precision. Winning your case isn't just our job, it's our mission.
Welcome to New Jersey Motorsports Park for the final race weekend of the 2025 MotoAmerica Championship season. It is Superbikes at New Jersey, and it is time now to get Superbikes out on the racetrack for the first of two qualifying sessions here in this championship weekend. If you're joining us on YouTube, welcome to this bonus MotoAmerica Live Plus coverage. You're able to watch qualifying along with us. But a reminder, the only place where you can watch each and every session live and in its entirety is on MotoAmerica Live Plus. And we have 3 Superbike races here this weekend, Roger Hayden. Before we talk about the points battles, though, let's take a look back at how we got here. These are the highlights from our most recent race, Roger, back at COTA.
Yeah, we get 3 riders going for the Superbike title this year, so it's important to see what they're going to be able to do COTA race 2, and they get all 3 of them a really good start. There with Bobby Fong going to lead them early, but Cam Beaubier uses the power of the BMW down that long back straightaway. At COTA, you see Josh Herron there as well, trying to go with the leaders early, but they pulled away early on. Now Josh and Jake Gagne had a battle going on mid-race, and watch this save from Cam Beaubier. Watch the front end of that motorcycle there. I mean, just an incredible save. You won't see much better save than that right there, and just chasing the front end so long. And for Beaubier, kind of setting back a little bit, then he recovered, put his head back down, was able to close down that gap to Bobby Fong that he lost. But Sean Dillon Kelly works his way into passing Herron. But Beaubier goes on to win and closes up that point. Bobby Fong did a great job in second.
That battle between Cameron Beaubier and Bobby Fong, that is exactly what we bring into the championship standings as we take a look at the points as they are after 17 races so far this season. Bobby Fong leading the Superbike field by 8 points over Cameron Beaubier, and Josh Herron, who's won more races with 6 than anyone else, sitting in third, 22 points back.
Yeah, and you know Josh is going to fight this weekend. At 3 Superbike races, anything can happen. 8 points. It is so close with 3 races.
See Jake Gagne there in 4th, and Sean Dillon Kelly rounding out our top 5. But you said it, 3 Superbike races, 75 points are on the line here this weekend. And Roger, that makes this practice and qualifying sessions even more important to get these riders and these teams ready for what's at hand. These are the results from that practice session this morning. Josh Herron was back at the top.
Yeah, and Sean Dillon Kelly there, great session for him. And Hayden Gillum, we see the Suzuki 2nd and 3rd. Great to see that.
See Bobby Fong there in 4th. Looking to pick up a little bit of pace with Jake Gagne rounding out our top 5. Also good to see Richie Escalante back out in 6th. But Cam Beaubier, he had a bit of a moment this morning. We'll see if he can get it back out there. Before we get bikes up to speed and ready for qualifying, Roger, take us around New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Yeah, we talked about this track tight and technical all the way through turn 1. Turn 3, A, B, and C is a really challenging corner. Up into turn 4, passing turn 5 is going to be one of the best spots to pass. All the way through turn 7, super long right-hander. You're on the edge of the tire from there. And then from turns 9 and 10, it gets really tight, really slow. And then it starts that run all the way to turn 12. So important to get through there, that run on the front straightaway to try to make that pass down into turn 1.
Very difficult racetrack to pass on. Like you mentioned, it's a very physical racetrack, it just being 2.25 miles long, 12 turns. And this morning during practice session, mentioned the fact that Cameron Beaubier, one of our championship contenders, was not as close to the front of the field as what he would have liked. Having a moment, we'll see if we can, we're gonna take a look at that in just a minute, but bikes are starting to get up to speed here in Superbikes. It is a longer qualifying session than some of the other classes. If you've been watching along with us, there's a look at the number 6 of Cameron Beaubier. But Roger, this was the moment that I was mentioning. This was from the Insta360 camera that was aboard Cameron Beaubier's bike. right, here's a look at it, Roger.
Yeah, and you can just see it, definitely not the way he wants to start the weekend. This is headed down into turn 4, down into turn 5, one of the spots I was mentioning, to be able to make the pass, and just uses all the racetrack. Kind of a weird place to see a rider go down. And for Beaubier, not the way to start the championship weekend, but for him, he's just got to put his head down and bounce back and put it behind him.
Certainly not the first time that Cam has gone down over the course of his racing career as a 5-time MotoAmerica champion. He certainly knows how to rebound from instances like that, particularly early on in the weekend. While these bikes get up to speed, let's get down to the third member of our broadcast team. Here's Joe Inkier.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, well, beautiful conditions continue here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. 99 degrees on track, so it is hot, hot, hot. As you mentioned, Cam Beaubier, he didn't have the best start to his crucial weekend. He just has those 8 points to catch up to Bobby Fong if he's to go for his 6th championship here in the Superbike category. He low-sided, as we saw earlier in practice. I had a chance to talk to his crew. They said, you know, we saw him get back out on track earlier, but they said it was just a little work on the fairings, the body work to the bike, nothing mechanical needed. But how does that affect your mentality when you crash ahead of such a high-stakes weekend? But 3 races to go here in Superbike, and it's all to play for. Josh Herron in the running as well, and that's why pole today is going to be huge. It's more than just a session. Q1 track position here could make all the difference.
It can definitely get in your head a little bit whenever you have a crash early on, especially if you don't really know what happened, and you know, it can make you get uncomfortable, not the way you want to start the weekend. But Beaubier's been in these spots before. He has to put it behind him, but that's really a lot easier said than done.
Look at some of the other contenders here in the Superbike category. There's the number 40, Sean Dylan Kelly. Now in the last weekend of his return to MotoAmerica, and here with the Suzuki, looking over his shoulder. Go back to this morning, Roger, and take a look at SDK.
He was fast this morning inside the top 3 for a while, ending up 2nd overall, just really close to the top. We've seen Sean be really strong on Fridays, qualifying really well, and lately he's been able to put it together in the races as well. Going back to that first practice this morning, we've seen where Beaubier had his issue too, but you can see Sean Dylan Kelly had an issue also down into turn 5. Really hard on the brakes through there. Sean, the bike went for a little bit of a ride. It was great to see Sean get up, try to pick the bike back up to get back in the session. Able to get it back to the pits, but that's about all. He wasn't able to get back out.
Now, you mentioned the fact that he was fast. He ended the session with the 2nd best time of that practice session on 120.7. And he did a number of laps. That was towards the end of that session, so he didn't lose a whole lot of track time. But in terms of confidence, what effect does that have?
It can have a lot, you know, for a crash early on. And, you know, if the race at Coda, they struggled a little bit early that weekend as well.
See something at the tail of that bike, Roger. What is that that's dangling?
It's not anything that's gonna to bother him there, and you know, maybe next time when he comes into the pits, the crew will get that. There's some Velcro right there on the tail section that it's supposed to stick to. You know, the team had so much work to do to try to get him back out. Just one of those things that when he comes in the pits, they'll have to button up.
Sean Dylan Kelly was currently down in 4th place as we go up to the front of the field. The number 50, Bobby Fong, our championship points leader, currently leading this first qualifying session. His best time so far is a 120.3, and that one came back on lap 3 of this qualifying session. Roger, that was already faster than what he did in the practice session this morning.
Yeah, just so impressive. We've heard in all the other classes, everybody's talking about how hot and greasy the track, that everybody's struggling for grip, and Bobby's able to go out and go fast already. This is a track where we thought the Yamaha was going to work really well, and it does, but not only the bike's working really well, the rider's riding really good also too. It's a tough combination to beat.
We know he has a lot of confidence coming in to this race weekend. He even said it after Circuit of the Americas and the 2 races that took place there, that he was happy that that weekend was behind him. It was not one that he had circled on the calendars looking for top honors, and he didn't get them, but he was able to finish on the podium in both of the races there. As you see the weather conditions right now, track temperature right around 90 degrees. That air temperature, though, still holding on inside of the 80s. Humidity continuing to stay up into the 50%, so it's still hot, it's still sticky. That's what we've had for the whole second half of this championship season, as we have a rider that is down.
Trying to find his bike there. The number 49 of Max Stauffer.
See how quick the corner workers were there to help him get that bike picked up. He hadn't even made his way back over there, and those volunteer track workers were there to help. As you see Jake Gagne down on pit lane. 30 minutes left in this long first qualifying session. Jake Gagne, number 2 on the time charts, taking the helmet off. Could be to get a drink of water, could be to cool off a little bit, as you see Josh Herron doing the same thing, but also Roger, it tells me that they need a couple of things on that bike.
Yeah, they're ready. They came in, things were either better or they didn't like. You see Josh there talking to his crew chief. A lot at stake for these guys this weekend, these riders, with the championship on the battle. We talk about the riders a lot, but the teams also, the crews. A lot of pressure on those guys, too, to get the bikes working good.
For Josh Herron, as you see him with Simone there, his crew chief, going over the squiggly lines on the computer, looking at all of the data. He did lead that practice session we saw in the results earlier with a 120.5, but in the 5 laps that he did in this first qualifying session, he didn't even get close to that. His best time of 121.4, so certainly wants some improvement as we get ready to set the field here for the 3 Superbike races here this weekend to round out this 2025 championship season. As you see the number 27 of Ashton Yates coming down pit lane. Good start to the session for him inside of the top 5. You see how tall Ashton Yates is as he gets off of that Honda. And we talk a lot about it, Roger, with the tall riders, just how much more physical it makes these physical racetracks for them to have to tuck in and really hold themselves tight to that bike for the duration of these races. And there's 3 of them this weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. One place that will help them is going from turns 10, 11 on to 12 onto the front straightaway. They're able to kind of move around on the bike a little bit more, but it's definitely a little bit more work for those guys. But Ashton has been riding really well, not only in the Superbike class, but Stock 1000. And he's going to want to try to finish this year out strong. And right now, 4th, the beginning of this Superbike qualifying 1 is a great session.
Go back to the number 40 of Sean Dillon Kelly. One of just a few riders that are still out there on the racetrack. Pit lane becoming a very busy place right now, as many of the teams are, you can see, executing some changes for these changing weather conditions from the morning practice session. There was a decent amount of cloud cover this morning. Kept the track temperature down just a little bit, but the sun has been out all afternoon. So we've heard from riders in the other categories. It's a little bit greasier than what they were expecting, greasier than they've had here for the last couple of years. So some work to be done. See Jake Gagne still sitting in the shade while the team gets to work. Jake Gagne currently sitting in 2nd in terms of lap time behind his teammate Bobby Fong, and that's a great thing, a great place to start off this qualifying session for the 2 of them, because if they can stay there and stay together on the starting grid and at the early stages of these 3 races, that's going to help Bobby Fong in terms of championship points.
Yeah, it's going to help a lot because he's going to have a teammate there to kind of be on his side. So for Bobby's definitely want to see Jake stay up there and get a good start and kind of be a wingman going into that race. We see Andrew Lee on the Orange Cat BMW. This is actually in the Superbike class, Stock 1000 champion. It's great to see the Orange Cat BMW guys jump into Superbike, and not only they jumped into Superbike, I mean, this morning you look at the lap times, they were 6th and 7th, and you know, it's not a full works Superbike. It doesn't have all the parts. It's got a swing arm and some other stuff, but it's just great to see. Beaubier unfortunately down again.
That is Cameron Beaubier, 2nd incident of the weekend for Cam, and you can see him with his hands out, frustration as he lifts the visor of his helmet, picking up some pieces there. It looks like his seat, and for Beaubier, this is not the start to a championship weekend. that he needed.
That bike does not look good. See the corn worker over there helping try to get that thing back up.
Right, here's a look at what happened, Roger.
Yeah, just that really long right-hander I was talking about. Just weird crash for Beaubier. He doesn't even have his knee down. He just, as soon as he starts to tip in the corner, don't even look like he was riding that hard, and the front end just folds. Almost same thing we've seen this morning, just a really odd crash.
And to your point, you can see the effect while Beaubier slid through the grass. You could see that bike just bounce. I counted 4 flips on that bike, so it's what caused the bodywork to come off and creates even more work for that Tytler Cycle BMW team.
Just really weird crash, and you can see Beaubier even now with putting his hands up like confused, don't know what happened. Usually whenever you crash as a rider, you know you're pushing too hard or you're just a little bit wide. The bumps, you know, he just looks like, again, the front end just folds on him and kind of leaving him scratching his head. That is not what you're going to want. You already had the crash this morning. Now you have another crash like this. That's when it can start getting in your head whenever you have these crashes and you don't know why you're crashing.
The 5-time Superbike champion, Cameron Beaubier, certainly has a lot of experience, but what he's not going to have is the track time. And Roger, with 3 races on hand here this weekend, 25 minutes remaining in this first qualifying session. That bike does not look like it's going to be able to get back out there to finish this one out. He already lost the time this morning, and then you have the other side of it with Bobby Fong, who continues to improve as the session goes on.
Bobby's also every lap has been in the 20s. 20.3 is his best. Last lap at 20.8. This lap's going to be another good one too. It's going to be another low 120, and didn't even do his personal best second and third sector.
For Bobby Fong, what he's been able to do this year has certainly been impressive in his first opportunity aboard a factory motorcycle with this factory Attack Performance Yamaha team, and he's been able to take full advantage and score points in each championship race this season. And with 3 races on the table, of course, anything can happen over the course of the next couple of days, but Bobby Fong has certainly done everything that he can to take advantage of the opportunity, and the team has done everything they can to give him the best bike possible.
Bobby's already did 11 laps in this session. The next person with the most laps is 8. He's went out. He has not been in the pits yet, so he has went on a run of 10, 11 laps, all in the minute 20s. That's what you talk about when you look at our riders. We hear race pace. You go there and you do those long runs. And that's what Bobby's done. It's been impressive.
Bobby's been able to take the bike to the grid for each race this season, knowing what to expect in terms of tire wear, knowing what to expect in terms of what he can do consistently. He's done more laps than anybody else over the course of this full season. And see Cam Beaubier now getting that bike down pit lane to the team. 23 minutes left on the clock. We're going to see if they think they're going to be able to get it back up to race trim. Let's listen in. Not a lot of talking going on right now. You see a lot of crew members with their heads down, assessing the damage.
Somewhere or where? Yeah.
We did see Cam pick up some of the pieces there, Roger, but it sounds like from eavesdropping him that he didn't find all of them. There's still some pieces that are out there on the racetrack that the team looks like they're going to see if they can go out and find, as Bobby Fong has now made his way into pit lane after that string of 11 consecutive laps. With 22 minutes still on the clock, we'll see what Bobby is able to do when he gets back out there, but right now it's his turn to debrief, and there is his crew chief team owner, Richard Stamboli. We go back to the racetrack in number 36, Jason Uribe. When we saw Andrew Lee out earlier, Roger, I laughed because you said they were 6th and 7th. Andrew Lee is on bike 6-7 this weekend. I'm not going to say it's on purpose, but they might have been watching TikTok over the course of the last couple of weeks. But it is great to see this Orange Cat Stock 1000 team make their way up into the Superbike category. And for Jason Uribe, up inside of the top 3 right now with his best lap time, that last lap of 1:21.067 for Jason Uribe. These bikes have been slightly modified from their Stock 1000 spec, but they are not full Superbikes. So for him to be up there inside of the top 3, that's great to see.
Yeah, it's great to see. You see how hard JD's trying to get the power to the ground there. bike moving around a little bit. Just so impressive, though, for Jason and the Orange Cat team. Moving a Superbike is tough. It's hard. And for them to come in already and kind of, you know, I know they rode the bikes last week, so they have a little seat time on it, but still, your first race in the, on the, you know, with the Superbike and going against the big boys, setting 3rd and 7th is really impressive.
Another impressive Stock 1000 rider is JD Beach, having won the Superbike Cup Championship already coming in to this race weekend. He wanted to, of course, win the Stock 1000 title as well, but some misfortune kept that from happening. That title did go to Andrew Lee, like we said, but for here this weekend, there's a lot of bragging rights on the line between all of these riders making the move up here into the Superbike.
And this track, being as small as it is, you know, you see JD almost loses the front there, trail braking. But the difference between the Stock 1000 and the Superbike isn't as such a big an advantage at a little track like this. You don't have that long straightaway with all that power where you can really use the engine of the Superbike.
Very similar to Mid-Ohio, where we did see JD Beach finish on the Superbike podium with that Stock 1000 bike. So it would not be a surprise to see one of these riders up there inside of the top 3 for any of the 3 races here this weekend. Let's get down to pit lane. You can see a number of bikes still down on pit lane, including Cameron Beaubier. Joe?
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, a lot of work here going on Cam Beaubier's bike. I've been told 10 minutes until they can get him back out and riding again for the rest of this Q1 session. With 19 minutes to go for a 5-time champion, it's still maybe enough to post down some decent time, but it does look as though some severe damage has been done to the bike. What's interesting to remember is that these conditions today, hot, dry. Tomorrow we could get the rain. So while he still will have Q2 to post potential pole position, or at least try to get on that front row, it is going to be rainier conditions tomorrow. So he is looking very focused, very serious in there, as you can imagine, hoping to get a few minutes left out of this Q1 session.
You can see that look on the face of Cameron Beaubier, multi-time champion, Roger, and you can see the look on his eyes right now. He knows what he's lost by going over. Yeah,
and he knows what's at stake this weekend as well. And for the team, if they can at least get Cam out and kind of rebuild that confidence back, get some laps under his belt going into tomorrow. Also get out there and make sure the bike, nothing is wrong from the crash, where they don't have to lose out tomorrow morning session trying to figure out if the bike is going to run or not. But you can just see, it's just really cool when you see a rider locked in like that.
You can see Bobby Fong looking into the face of Cameron Beaubier, watching our pictures as well, as you saw him putting his gloves and helmet back on to get back out to the racetrack, just like his teammate you see there, Jake Gagne, in the number 32 Attack Performance Yamaha. Looking over his shoulder, he's left pit lane, still being shown in second place, already done his out lap. So we'll see if he's able to find any improvement here. 17 minutes left in this first qualifying session. He's continuing to look over his shoulder. Roger, do you think he's looking for somebody, or I think he's just seeing if anybody's there so he can go ahead and push it?
Yeah, I think he's just making sure it doesn't look like he's pushing that hard, making sure that he's not up to speed just yet, and he doesn't really want to get in somebody else's way. You see him right there looking at the button, maybe going to switch the maps. The Bobby Fong right now is 4/10 quicker than Jake Gagne in second. That is a gap, and then even more, 8/10 all the way down to fifth, which is Ashton Yates. Heron is down there in 8th, Beaubier sitting in 10th.
I think Heron is still working through a couple things. If you look at his last lap time is a 1:20 or 1:36 too, so significantly off the pace. I'm not sure if he went off track or made a run down pit lane, or what caused that long lap there for Josh Heron, but he's still looking to put some laps together. We did see him on pit lane early on in this session as Bobby Fong, Richard Stamboli still talking it out. There's still a lot of time left on the clock here as we go back out to the racetrack. There's the number 69, Peyton Gillum, finishing inside of the top 5 in the Superbike class back in our last race back at Circuit of the Americas. But for Hayden, he had a great run there in Mission King of the Baggers as well. He's one of those riders that does compete in multiple classes here in MotoAmerica. He was able to win the challenge race at Circuit of the Americas. He was also able to win one of the races itself.
Yeah, and their jump to Superbike, the Real Steel Honda team, has been pretty impressive this year. They've had a lot of good rides. They got JD on the podium, but Hayden's been so close to the podium. You know, so many races this year. He's just right a couple seconds behind that podium battle, but he's getting closer every weekend, and they're inside the top 3 in sessions. You see Josh there still limping from his crash at Mid-Ohio, but Josh went fast this morning. But for Hayden, though, just great to see Honda back in the paddock and what they're able to do, and just a really good start to their year back into the paddock, and hopefully they can keep building on that.
You see Sean Dillon Kelly back out, still looking to improve. He's down in 6th right now. We saw that replay earlier of the incident that he had this morning. Looks like he's been able to put it behind him and string some laps together now at this point, being one of the riders that's put 12 of them out there.
You know, I look at the board over here, and I don't know when we've ever seen this, Jamie. Bobby Fong, Jake Gagne, Jason Uribe, Hayden Gillum, Ashton Yates, Sean Dillon Kelly, Andrew Lee, then Josh Herring. I mean, this is what it's all about. New names, new bikes, new teams getting in the mix and able to be competitive.
Certainly new opportunities for a lot of these riders. And you know, we think ahead to the 2026 season and going forward with the Stock 1000 class no longer being a standalone race and being combined in with Superbike, part of the Superbike Cup. That's where you see some of these names. That's where these riders came from. You think about, we'll take Ashton Yates, for example. He's one of the riders that had competed in Stock 1000. Still did it this year, but with 2 different bikes. So he had the Superbike bike that he raced here, and then Stock 1000 that he raced over there. Now he's here full time. You have the same with Jason Uribe and Andrew Lee now making the move up, Orange Cat making the move up as well. So great opportunity to get some of these younger riders more experience, more track time, and ultimately more wins.
And hopefully for Ashton not doing Stock 1000 next year, they can take those resources of doing that class and put it into their Superbike program and buy some, you know, more parts to get his bike closer to the factory boys.
Think about the 17 races that we've had so far this season here in the Superbike category. It is a 20-race championship season, but you know, we think back in terms of Ashton Yates and what he's done here this year. He's been able to he's had some good moments. He's had some that he would probably like to forget. He's had 4 races that he wasn't able to finish, but he has finished inside of the top 10 11 times. So he's been able to steadily pick up some points. You see the work still being done on the left-hand side of your screen. That is in the pit of Cameron Bobier. All the body work is now off as the team looks underneath to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Everything is back together. But what I have not seen, Roger, is anybody make the decision to head back to the garage area to execute this work. So they're still going forward with the plan of getting Bobier back out there for some track time here in this first qualifying session.
Yeah, and it's going to be important. It's going to be huge to see if he can get out there and get some laps in. And still they missed out on a ton of time this morning with the crash, so they still don't have any idea about their race setup.
See on pit lane, there's the number 69 of Hayden Gillum. He's currently 4th on the time chart. Ahead of him is still sitting in 3rd. Great to see the number 36 of Jason Uribe, with Jake Gagne holding on to that middle of the provisional front row, and then Bobby Fong remaining our provisional pole sitter. We did see him back out onto the racetrack, so we'll see what he's able to improve to, or if he's able to improve in these final 11 minutes, as we see Richie Escalante, number 54. Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki rider, had a last round that he would certainly like to forget. For Richie Escalante, was not able to pick up any finishes or points, and for him it's all about putting his head down, putting it behind him, and just going forward and being inside of the top 10 right now will help that.
Yeah, and I think didn't get the finishes that he wanted, but I think if he can go back and one thing you try to find a positive on a tough weekend like that is he had the pace. He was chasing down the leaders in that first Superbike race. Unfortunately, didn't get to finish with the mechanical toward the end, and like you said, a tough weekend, but on those tough weekends you try to look back and find the positive, and the positive thing was they had a lot of speed, so it's going to be see if they can carry that speed over to this weekend.
Richie Escalante still out there. His teammate Sean Dillon Kelly is right behind him. The two almost identical in lap time. So here's an opportunity to remind you that in Superbikes, Baggers, and Super Sport, you can play MotoAmerica for cash. All three series are now live on your top sportsbook and DFS platforms. Just scan that flow code on the screen or visit nxtbets.com/playma to see what's available in your location. You can sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. And those bettings will close 30 minutes prior to the start of each race, and they do reset on Saturday, so you actually have multiple opportunities over the course of the weekend. But here are the Superbike odds to win for race number 1. Roger, I think Sean Dillon Kelly is a good long shot bet.
Yeah, and for the top 3, look how close that is. But Jake Gagne, second right now. You know, I think that's somebody you got to look at with the championship on the line.
What about Bobby Fong, though?
Yeah.
Not as the favorite. Certainly some things to watch for over the course of the weekend, but this is a live look into the pit of Cameron Beaubier, and all that body work that was off just a couple moments ago is now being reattached, and with 9 minutes still on the clock, Roger, it looks like we might see Cameron Beaubier able to get back out there. He is certainly ready. The helmet back on, gloves are on, and the focus is certainly there.
And for him, he's just right now doing those mental laps, trying to do everything he can to put those little issues behind him. You see Bobby Fong in the pits. Looks like he's going to get a fresh rear tire on the back of that Yamaha R1. So toward the end of the session, he's going to go out and try to see if he can maybe get into the 19s.
Track record here was set by Cameron Beaubier back in 2020. It was a 1:19.806. Right now, Bobby Fong, his best time as our provisional pole sitter is a 20.382. So with that fresh Dunlop, with the sunshine on the racetrack, the temperature already set in, we'll see if he is able to improve. But for Cameron Beaubier, these are going to be maybe the most important 8 minutes of this race weekend.
And that Tytler Cycle team did a great job. I mean, they got that bike fixed in 12 or 13 minutes out, and I personally didn't think he was going to make it back out, but a great team able to get it done.
He throws his leg over. He'll make his way down to pit exit. He'll get one out lap to really feel it out before he decides if it's going to push. Does he have anything in it? Right now, Cameron Beaubier, second place by 8 points in the Superbike Championship, provisionally down in 10th place in this first qualifying session, but that was a heroic effort by the entire Tytler Cycle team to get that bike back together for Beaubier here within this first qualifying session. About 19 minutes on pit lane to get all of that work done. So he looks over his shoulder, lets Sean Dillon Kelly go. SDK is in 8th, so he's another one of the riders that is on an out lap, having just left pit lane with Beaubier. See if he can improve here and move himself any further up the grid. Again, this is the first of 2 qualifying sessions here for Superbike. It'll set the field for all 3 of the Superbike races that we have to wrap up this 2025 championship season. That's a look into the pit of Josh Herron, currently sitting 3rd in the championship point standings, still down in 9th in qualifying. He's won 6 times this season. He stood on the podium 13 times. And Roger, for any rider, they would end the season and think, gosh, what a great year that was. He won the championship last year. That's why he's got the #1 plate. He won the championship with 6 wins last year. But we still have 3 races left, and it's just not enough.
And we talked so much about momentum, and he had it going his way mid-season, and then things turned at Mid-Ohio, and they started some mistakes through there. And, you know, see what he can do this weekend. They need to get out there and try to get some laps in. But Josh looks relaxed. He's got another new helmet this weekend, and been every race they've had a new helmet for Josh. This one, I like the camo look he brought this week.
He won 5 in a row in that middle part of the season. You were talking about, won both races at RoadAmerica, both races at the Ridge, won the first of 3 races that we had at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and then at VIR. The wheels started falling off, and he had to refocus himself when we got to Circuit of the Americas, and he was able to get that 6th win to put himself back into the championship fight. Coming in 3rd in the championship point standings. We'll see if he can pick up the pace, but on the left-hand side of your screen, that is exactly what Cameron Beaubier is doing aboard that Tytler Cycle BMW. He's already finished that out lap. You can see him looking around. He's not at full tilt just yet, but he still has 5 minutes.
Yeah, right now I think for Beaubier, he's just trying to get his legs back under him, get a little rhythm, get a flow, get some good laps in. And, you know, of course, he'd like to move up from the grid and do some better laps. But right now, I think it's just about getting that feeling back and rebuilding that confidence.
Panigale is refired for Josh Herron as he looks down. We have not seen him this far down after a qualifying session this season. Less than 5 minutes to go. Lap times at 1:20. He'll have a longer out lap here to get up to speed, so he's only going to get a couple of laps. And around comes Cameron Beaubier. We said it's about just getting his feet back underneath him, Roger, but as a championship caliber rider, at what point do you have to push it?
Well, I think he's going to, you know, maybe wait till tomorrow morning, have a night to sleep on it, maybe toward the end of the session if he's feeling good. But I think right now, just try to rebuild his confidence and get ready and come out swinging tomorrow morning.
Speaking about coming out swinging, here's the number 32 of Jake Gagne. You can see at the bottom of your screen, he is on a lap right now that would put him below that provisional pole time set by his teammate Bobby Fong. As he crosses the stripe, it is a 1:20.532. It is an improvement for Jake Gagne, but not enough, as Bobby Fong is now in the 119s with a 119.912, maintaining that provisional pole spot, closing in on the track record. But better than that right now, Roger, he's proving that in these conditions at this time, he is still the better.
And he's putting pressure on his championship rivals right now with the pace that he's on. And, you know, Beaubier wants to go out and take time to get up to speed, but with what Bobby's doing, you're kind of putting that pressure on him to try to get up to speed a little bit quicker. But Beaubier's, he's got the experience. There's been times, I remember, where he's had a couple crashes, and you think in the second race, he's not going to be there today. There's no way he can bounce back from some of the things that's happened this weekend, and he come out and dominate the race. So Beaubier knows how to put these things behind him when it matters.
Josh Herron certainly has proven himself capable of doing the same thing, and we saw him refocus himself back at Circuit of the Americas. He had to go back to the basics and remember that it's not about winning the races on the first day. It's about improving the bike and getting a bike underneath you that you can race with. And for Josh Herron, he's not quite there yet. He's further down the time charts than what he wanted to be. He's putting himself mid-pack right now, provisionally in this first qualifying session. He needs to find a little bit of pace to get himself closer to the front.
Yeah, just that first sector alone, Bobby was a half a second quicker than Josh, and a little more tthan that from Cam Beaubier. So just struggling a little bit for those guys.
You can see the lap charts there at the bottom of the screen for both of those riders, Cam Beaubier and Josh Herron. You can see the black chips through the first 3 sectors for Cam Beaubier, meaning he has found no improvement yet. And for Josh Herron there, you can see he improved his personal best there in the 3rd sector. But when you watch them come to the line, for Cam Beaubier still down in 12th, Josh Herron was able to pick up the pace there on that last half of that lap, moving himself up into 5th with a 1:21.0. Puts himself up onto the provisional 2nd row. That's going to help.
And he's got a little carrot there in front of him with Escalante and Beaubier, so that's going to help a little bit when you're you miss out a lot of time and you're out there and trying to force yourself to get up to speed a little bit quicker. Having that carrot there right in front of you is definitely going to help. Just did his personal best sector in split 1.
But even in Sector 1, Roger, if you look at it, he's still 4/10 slower than what Bobby Fong is going through that first sector with that lap time. So, yes, he's improving. Yes, that is encouraging. Yes, it's going to help close the gap. But Bobby Fong is also continuing to improve.
And that wasn't even Bobby's best sector through that first sector's best time.
One minute remaining on the clock here in this first qualifying session for Superbike. Another session will be tomorrow morning. You can see riders continuing to improve, but as they come around this last turn, they will get one more lap should they choose to push it. All right, so here we go. Josh Herron up into third. Cam Beaubier able to move himself up into sixth. Checkered flag still not being shown, so we're going to get one more shot at it. Here's the championship points that we keep talking about. What are they chasing? Well, right now they're chasing Bobby Fong. He's 8 points ahead of Cameron Beaubier, 22 points ahead of Josh Herron. Then you have Jake Gagne, teammate to Bobby Fong, sitting second provisionally on that front row. Good buffer for Bobby Fong. That's why this is so important. There's also 3 races this weekend, Roger, and these qualifying sessions set the field for all 3.
And this is not a weekend where you want to struggle and have those issues where a couple guys have had today with the 3 races this weekend. And there's the split. We've seen it. 4/10 in that first sector. The second one wasn't too bad. He's only losing a tenth through there.
See Jake Gagne there on the left-hand side of your screen. The checkered flag has been shown. So for Jake Gagne, this is his final time lap, and it's not an improvement for him. He's out there putting in the lap time, doing those runs on the Dunlop tires, so he's still provisionally on the second row. But this one here for these 3 riders, Richie Escalante is right there in the middle of Cam Beaubier and Josh Herron.
Beaubier looks like he's pulled away from these 2 a little bit this lap, so this might be a good lap for Beaubier.
You can see his personal best through sectors 1 and 3. What is it when he crosses the stripe for Cameron Beaubier?
21.4.
121.4, not an improving lap, so he will end this session down in 12th. And Josh Herron was able to maintain that spot there on the provisional front row as more and more riders are taking the checkered flag. I'm looking over at the sectors that we have here on our timing and scoring screen. It doesn't look like anybody is on an improving lap that's still out there on the racetrack. So riders now making their way to the practice start zone.
Good session for Benjamin Smith, and they had a solid weekend so far, getting a lot of laps in.
He was encouraged coming out of a Circuit of the Americas, being able to finish inside of the top 10 in both of those races. So that momentum is certainly on the side of Benjamin Smith. Gives us an opportunity to watch a lap on the Instant 360 camera here with Bobby Fong.
Yeah, and this is going to give you a good angle down into turn 1. We go from here. Turn 2 is blind. This is just such a fun corner with the banking here. You can get in there so fast and you can't see the other side. So being online, you got to be there. Then this corner starts right here. If you mess up that first right-hander, then you've messed up this whole sector through there. There's a little bump right here. You see the bikes moving around a little bit. The electronics are going to work coming up over this hill. This right-hander on the exits where we see Beaubier hit his crash this morning down into turn 5. You'll see a lot of passing when we go racing there on the first lap. You're going to want to block that inside. We head down through turn 6. Not really hard braking, but still a really fast right-hander. Not the easiest place to pass to get in there. And then you run down into turn 7, another important apex right here, because you're on the side of the tire for a long time. Right here in the middle, you see Bobby will pick the bike up just a little bit for trail braking, and then it gets tight. It is really tight to this right-hander and to this left. And then from here at the apex, you're starting your wind up all the way through this sector. You can see this is so much work on a Superbike, going right, back to the left, getting ready for the right, to run under the bridge into the last corner onto the front straightaway.
What a great shots there from the number 50 of Bobby Fong. Now with the full field taking the checkered flag for this first qualifying session here in Superbike. We'll take a look at the full results, cover the fact Bobby Fong, our provisional pole sitter with 1 session remaining. But Roger, look at the gap to his own teammate, over half a second between first and second of Jake Gagne.
And that's a big it's a big gap on a little track like this. But look at Hayden Gill in 4th, Jason Uribe, Ashton Yates, Benjamin Smith, and Andrew Lee.
Good to see Andrew Lee and Jason Uribe inside of the top 10. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. We're going to start off with third place. Right at the end of the session when he had the time to do it, Josh Herron puts himself provisionally on the front row.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the same story always. Josh and his team, even when they're in the back foot early on in the session, they always figure it out when it counts.
Ending this first qualifying session in second. Number 32, Jake Gagne, doing exactly what he needs to do to help bring home a title to Attack Performance.
Yeah, and for Jake, he's going to be a good teammate this weekend, and him being fast is not only going to help himself to help his teammate, but his teammate's going to be able to look at his data and maybe find some places he can improve.
And here is that teammate, Bobby Fong, leading the championship 8 points over Cameron Beaubier, putting himself at the top of the charts, not leaving any questions to ask overnight. Bobby Fong leading the way. Let's get down to Bobby Fong with Joe Ankier.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, I'm here with Bobby Fong, provisional pole sitter. I'll be careful with my words, but it's looking good so far for you today. How aware were you of yourself relative to track records and Cam and Josh struggling behind you?
They're not struggling, really. Those guys will be there or faster tomorrow, man. Those guys are professionals, and it's just cool to see my teammate. My teammates pushing me. You know, it's cool to see Jake up here. Honestly, you should be talking to that guy because that dude's been struggling with some stuff. But it would be good to finish the weekend Yamaha 1-2. So looking forward to tomorrow, and it's only Friday, so we just gotta keep a steady head and just keep progressing.
A humble Bobby Fong there, but of course our championship leader. Back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, after all of the struggles that Bobby Fong has had over the last several seasons, he certainly has humbled himself. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll be back with more from New Jersey after this.
My name is Nick, and we are the title sponsor for the Motivation Supersport class, as well as the SC Project Twins Cup. We are the North American distributor for SC Project exhausts. SC Project is an exhaust manufacturer out of Italy. They basically started 20 years ago. It was two Italians that wanted a custom exhaust for their race bikes, and they couldn't find something that they liked on the market, so they started manufacturing their own and building their own. And then they started getting more and more requests through the paddock for an exhaust that was doing what they did. SC Project, we often get asked what SC stands for, Squadra Corsa, which is race team. So basically, the competition and the dedication to race teams and motorsports has been baked into the brand since the very beginning. Currently in the MotoAmerica paddock, we have the reigning champion Alessandro Di Mario on the Robum Engineering Twins Cup RS660. We were fortunate enough last year to be at our home race at COTA, and that was the race where Alessandro and the team clinched the championship. It was kind of divine intervention that we were able to be there while he was able to celebrate and hoist that #1 plate. Here at Motivation USA and SC Project USA, we are the choice of champions. Visit us at motivationusa.com.
All right, well, my name is Simon Martin. I am the Vice President of Sales with Counteract Balancing Beads, and we are a Canadian company based out of Ontario. We are the largest manufacturer of internal tire balancing products in the world today. So our main product is actually a little micro bead that actually goes inside the tire and balances out the whole wheel assembly on the fly. So your rim, your tire, your hub, brake drum, everything that's rotating at once needs to be balanced, and that's what our product does on the fly. You know, the ergonomics and the design of a motorcycle and the way that suspension works, which is simple, up and down, allows a product like ours to work very, very well. We're very happy and proud to be a partner of MotoAmerica. We look forward to continuing the partnership, and we're going to be at most of the events this year in 2024 in the fan zone, so certainly stop by and say hello. Come learn all about Counteract.
Hey, it's Max Linders here. I'm racing with the King of the Baggers from Mad Monkey Motorsports, and we are so happy to have Lindell brakes on our team. These beasts weigh up to 650 pounds, and we're going 170 miles an hour. So the only way to stop is to have good brakes, and Lindell brakes give us our confidence so we can really hit the brakes, get into the corner, and get out. So with Lindell brakes, my favorite thing about them is the feel. When you're going into the corners, you can really feel how hard you're pulling the brake to make sure you're not making those small mistakes to tuck the front, and you can really feel how much left the tire has into it. and that's what gives me such confidence to really throw this bagger into the corner. Another great part with Lindell Brakes, they actually provided our wheels last year that we got our podium with. It was my first ever podium. It was the team's first ever podium. Everyone went absolutely wild, and honestly, the wheels with the flickability and the control that I was having on the bike, I don't think I could have done it without them, so I'm hugely proud to have them as part of our team, and hopefully we can do it again in the future.
8 laps scheduled for this race. It's Mission King of the Baggers, race number 2 for Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. The lights are on. They're gone, and we're away racing. And up the inside goes the 88 of Flinders, and he's going to take over position from your reigning national champion. What a ride from Max.
And with 4 to go, Flinders finds himself with a spot and a chance to get back up on this podium once again.
As Hayden Gillum is not giving up. He's still sending. Oh, Max.
Man.
The white flag flies. This is for the final step on the podium.
You see that? Gear.
Yeah, can Max Flinders hold on? Here it comes over the hill with a huge gap is Max Flinders. One more corner to navigate, and he's going to do it again from the last race of the year to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and Max Flinders, another podium, 3rd place. Incredible.
Thank you so much to the Mad Monkey Motorsports team. This bike was phenomenal. This weekend's been phenomenal. The crowd here has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for staying through all this rain. Woo! Yeah!
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park for the final race of the 2025 MotoAmerica Championship season. It is time now for the first qualifying session for the Parts Unlimited Talent Cup by Motul category. These young riders between the ages of 14 and 21 have been battling it out all season long. This championship has already been wrapped up. Before we get bikes out to the racetrack and up to speed, Roger Hayden, let's take a look back at Circuit of the Americas race 2.
Yeah, race 1 was a battle of attrition. We'll see what race 1 looks like. Kenzie Matsudaira there on the 74. Great to see him. We watched him in the Mini Cup. Now he makes his transition into the Talent Cup, even though he's been doing a lot of races overseas. Hank Vosberg there moves his way in to 2nd. Bodie Page, great start for him. The top 4 is starting to pull away from Sam Drain and Ella Dreyer. You can see the battle down into turn 1. Hank Vosberg is going to lead it now. He makes a little bit of a mistake in the stadium section. Kenzie goes a little bit wide as well. Alessandro now takes the lead, and from there he puts his head down. These two get in a big battle, Kenzie and Hank. You see Hank looking over like, man, just follow me. We're slowing each other down. Alessandro's starting to pull away, and they just did that throughout the whole race, and Alessandro DeMario dominates. He won the title, wrapped it up early, not doing the class this weekend, went out with the win and the championship.
We saw DeMario looking over his shoulder there, looking to see where the next closest competitor was. It was over 5 seconds there as he collected his 7th win of the season, 11th podium result to take home that title. As you take a look at those championship point standings, sitting in 2nd place right now, 68 points back is Sam Drain, Hank Vosberg in 3rd. The battle between the two of them is still close with 2 races to go.
Really close for 2nd and 3rd. We'll see how that battle's out there. And then also for Ellis, see she can't continue. Julian Carrera's not here this weekend, so he's going to lose a couple points.
25 points on the line for a win as we take a look at the practice results from this morning. And it was Hank Vosberg leading the way with Carson King sitting in 2nd, and a great recession there for Nathan Betancourt in 3rd.
Yeah, home track for Nathan.